What's up everyone, welcome back to the It Matters podcast. Before jumping into this episode, if you wanna stay updated with all the content I post, don't forget to subscribe to the Facebook page It Matters podcast. This episode is brought to you by Sneaks. Sneaks, it's all about sneakers. These guys are so passionate about the quality of their products and absolutely in love with sneakers. Each pair of them has its own story and personality. However, they truly believe that sneakers are often the ones who actually find us and not the other way around. And this is how their story started. Do you want to keep going? Choose Sneaks and make the step. You can find them online at www.snix.ro. I'll say it again, snix.ro. Thank you everyone for tuning in. This is the second part of my discussion with Dr. Dragos Sandu. If you didn't manage to listen to the first part, I highly encourage you to do so. Let's resume our conversation and make sure that you stay with us till the end, because it matters.
That's the scariest part for me, not doing anything in life. I mean, even if you're doing something that only one other person on this planet will be happy about, you should do it. As long as it keeps you happy as well.
Yeah, of course. That's why we are doing this right
yes.
now. That's the purpose.
Yeah. Make things matter for people that want to,
of course, and resonate with what we're seeing.
Do things that actually matter.
Of course.
Yeah.
You are talking about life. That I think that in my perception, life is infinite. Our life is finite, but life is infinite.
Yes, but we're merely observers of the infinite life.
True.
That's why we have to eliminate all bad choices, and I don't necessarily refer to bad habits or bad people around us. Just improve the way we live in order to fully make use of our time, because I once heard a great neurosurgeon talk about his job, and he said that surgeons, basically, good surgeons are those that can operate well, and great surgeons are those that can operate well with eliminating unnecessary maneuvers. And that's why I'm interested in making people aware of the fact that eliminating all unnecessary distractions will eventually lead to better outcomes in any domain.
And I think that it will lead to a happier life as well.
Yes, and to an even higher quality of life for everybody, because we're on the same boat. And
of course. And I will take a milder approach than you and not eliminate all, but just trying to lower as much of the bad habits as we can. You see, because when you say, it's like talking to a guy, you said, okay, you have to, let's say, for an example, you have to lose 30 kilos. It's that in that moment, that person said, oh my God, that's impossible. But if you say, okay, now this month you will lose 2 kilos, and it's like the same things with bad habits. And one thing that I personally I'm quite struggling with is this attention that we should focus on one thing at a time. One thing at
Yes.
a time. I'm not believing, and I'm very honest about this. I'm not believing in multitasking. I believe in shifting attention.
Yes.
I believe that multitasking is there is no such thing. I
It's the
believe,
root of all evil in today's society,
of course.
basically.
Now you're a neurologist, and you know that dopamine rush we get from any beep, any blink, any vibration from our phones and from our
Yeah.
distractions. And this is quite a fight, and this is a fight that people are struggling with for, I don't know, for 10 years. I mean, if you talk to someone 20 years ago, they did not have so much distractions, right? And I think that focusing at one thing at a time. Okay, you said, now I'm going to study. I'm just studying. Now I'm going
Yes.
to spend my, I don't know, 10 minutes, 30 minutes on social media, on watching TV. Okay, but you are fully there and you shift your attention. I don't think that you can multitask. I think that you really shift attention. And okay, there are people who can shift attention faster,
Yes.
and they can go from one thing to another faster. But I really don't believe in multitasking.
Yeah, that's basically just like using cheat codes on a game.
Yeah, on a video game, right?
However, returning to eliminating all distractions, I'm aware that people will never ever be able to fully eliminate all the things that aren't productive, because we are complex beings and we need something to take our minds off the,
To unwind, basically.
yes, to unwind. However, despite being called an extremist in the past, I'm aware of the way the message must be transmitted, because as you said, telling somebody to lose 30 kilos may seem impossible. However, if you do not make people aware of the implications their choices have on, and the impact their choices have on their lives, they will never fully accept the results that could come with better options.
Right.
Because there are two possible scenarios when telling somebody to lose 30 kilos.
Okay.
They either get depressed and get even fatter,
Okay.
which is clearly a sign for help, for further help.
Right.
Or they do what they're told, lose an amount of kilos, maybe 30, maybe even more, and just deal with it. So that's why I think with adults the message should be quite clear.
And we are coming back to the skills, to the communication skills, because it's all about approach and communication.
Yeah, I know for a fact that I'm not the friendliest person that you could meet. However, people have to understand that it's nothing personal when dealing with diseases, in my case.
Right.
I mean, we all want the same thing. What's best for the patient, or what's best for the client if the guy performing his job
we can
is,
look at our patients as clients, because if you are clients, okay, you should care about the people in front of you because he's a patient, but you should care about your clients as well. We are all human. And I
Yes.
think that the notion of caring should be applied to everything. So, okay, you can extrapolate to
Yes.
the example with clients.
Yes. Any client must be happy of the service he is receiving. However, he must also be aware that there's need for involvement from both parties in order to achieve the best possible outcome. So
Basically, the both parts has to put in the work.
yes,
That's what you're saying.
yes,
Oh, okay. Yeah. I can agree more with that. I mean, it's a general truth, right?
yes.
Um, you see, but how do you manage? Because I know that neurology is awesome, but is also very stressful. I know that. How do you manage to balance your professional and personal life?
Well, I don't think I've fully mastered this um, so far. I try to be as involved as I can in my job with certain boundaries, because once you get too emotionally invested into something, it can lead to frustration, to different
It consumes basically.
yes, to different states of mind that you would normally wouldn't like to have. And yeah, it's quite difficult for me to answer that, because I'm still trying to find the best way of dealing with stress and stressful situations on the long term. But yeah, I don't know. Reading, watching movies, and traveling
Hmm.
usually does the trick. I am still searching for complex activity that I can perform in order to take my mind off work.
So to totally shift your attention from
Yes,
work to what you're
but
doing.
I don't think anybody will be able to offer me,
Hmm.
because
To so you think you can never accomplish that to take your mind off of that?
yes,
Tr-
you'll always start thinking like the person that you are trying to be.
But I don't think that's quite a bad thing. I mean, my advice for you, if you want something to really shift your attention, try extreme sports. Anything extreme that you realize that if you do not focus on that and you make I don't know, a wrong move, you die.
Yeah, that's a
Eat
bit extreme.
eat
I
focus
I
now.
I have thought about that, and I realized that I only like to take calculated risks, and that's a no go for me for
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Maybe when I'm older and have different um, achievements,
Okay.
so as not to be the guy that you know went away.
Okay.
Maybe that's when I'll start developing such interest in extreme sports.
Okay. Okay.
Um, yeah, that might work.
I'm not trying to convince you to jump out of a plane without parachute, right?
Yes,
But you can take up, I don't
but
know, skiing, snowboarding, things like that. They are considered extreme because you can take it to extreme. Basically, you can take everything to extreme if you want, but you need something that engages you in such a powerful way that you give all your focus to that. Maybe, I don't know,
Yes.
maybe if you like driving and you go on a circuit and drive faster, right?
Yeah, but we do have to be aware of the fact that's why there are emergency departments in hospitals, because not always can you be fully focused on what you're doing. And
Right.
the bad part of being a doctor, I think, is that it usually takes out the joy of doing. I let's not call them stupid stuff,
Let's say
but
dangerous.
yeah, dangerous and risky
Because
behaviors.
all that deadly outcomes, they popped in your head.
Yes,
I know.
basically that's the first thing that you hear when you try to do something new and extreme, as you put it. Basically, what are the risks? Because our jobs have a lot to do with the risks that people are prone to.
Right. Yeah. Even if we're talking about behaviors, even if we are talking about actions,
Yes.
yeah. And I've never spoken to anyone saying, "Man, if I die in 10 minutes, I have no problem with that." No one. And I think that is because
Because you've only spoken to doctors so far.
maybe I've spoken to other people not in front of a
Yes.
microphone and recording,
But
but
I think that the few times that this came up was in front of the microphone, and basically that's when people get a little bit defensive and try not to.
to boast about this.
Yes.
You see, I think that the problem talking about this is not. I think that we are afraid because deep down we know that we did not complete our mission here, because, and I think that it can go both sideways.
Yeah, we did not complete our mission from our point of view,
Yes,
because
that's what I said. It's from a two point of view.
everybody's existence affects everybody else's existence
It's
as
two.
well.
Yeah.
However, it's just like seeing high school graduates be happy about graduating high school. Everybody's happy. Why is everybody happy? It's not just because they graduated, but it's because it's their moment.
Yeah.
Basically, your parents graduated from high school, let's say,
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago.
Okay.
They were happy about it because it was their moment.
Yes.
It was the same type of moment that hundreds and hundreds of generations before them and after them will experience, but everybody will experience it differently.
Agree. Totally agree.
So that's the beauty of life. Enjoying things, even same things, in different ways.
Yes.
And that, I think, is the most beautiful part of not necessarily finding and searching for new ways to experience stuff, but rather make it personal.
Okay.
Make it about you.
Yeah. You know that there are people who might take that is very selfish, right? But I think
but selfishness really helps us grow, I think.
Because I think it brings back the self-awareness in us, the
Yes.
selfishness, because you know you will live with yourself for the rest of your life. That's one of the few things in life that you can be certain of. You can be certain that you will die someday, and you can be certain that you will live with yourself for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And I don't think it's selfish to know yourself and to be fully aware of who you are.
Yeah, as long as you don't take it to an extreme
It just,
and
yeah,
just
think that everything is
be,
about yourself.
yes,
Right.
because it's not, and
Of
it
course it's not.
really isn't. Um, a low dose of selfishness can take you far away,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
only a low dose.
Okay. I've got it. Um, you're talking about traveling, reading. Do you refer to them as your hobbies? And do you have another hobbies besides them?
Well, to be honest, um, I'm sometimes too exhausted to do all this stuff,
Hmm.
and I'd much rather relax rather than not fully enjoy it. But I think art does help people a lot. Um, Not necessarily artists, because they're quite strange, but art itself in
Hmm.
any form can be an oasis and a source of uh,
Escaping.
yes, escaping reality as we know it.
Hmm. Right. So you enjoy art in every and each and every form of it.
Yeah, as long as you do your job properly, you can think of it as a form of art. Basically,
Yes.
people that work with finances can
Hmm.
think of uh,
So you say that.
getting
Uh-huh.
good outcomes as if they were composing a symphony
Right.
of numbers.
Hmm.
Uh, a surgeon can easily think of the procedures that he is performing as works of art.
Yeah, like masterpieces.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, even cooking, because everybody nowadays is either singing or cooking on TV. Even cooking can be a form of art, which has been depicted in
Hmm.
other types of art in the past.
Yeah.
But the process itself is becoming more complex, and that's why I think people should really consider themselves artists, no matter what the domain they're working in.
Hmm. That's quite a nice way of seeing things. Really. Um, I'll ask you now. What are the things that you are most grateful for?
Grateful.
Hmm.
Uh, Besides my health, I'm really grateful for being me, being the exact type of person that I wanted to be. I have a theory that we are the people that we are at the end of high school for the rest of our lives. Because basically, with little variations,
Hmm.
we will forever carry the same baggage of principles. And as long as you do things in a certain way during high school, which is one of the hardest periods of
Right. Right.
living,
Right.
of life, as long as you make those choices in that period of time, you will develop patterns that will stick with you till the end of life. Because let's put it this way: if you study to become a lawyer,
Okay.
then you will always have to be precise. You will always have to find solutions to
Right.
problems. You will always have to be a diplomat,
True.
and
Basically, you are saying that this is are skills that are within you, and basically there are skills I think that you cannot develop.
some of them you can clearly not develop. However, the skills that you choose to have when you're 18, which
Okay.
is um, turning point in
Mm-hmm.
everybody's life, when they basically have to decide uh, what type of career they want.
That was
Uh,
my real struggle.
yes, because I'm whenever I'm trying to find out what made me choose certain paths in life, it always brings me back to high school and
Mm-hmm.
to the way I started seeing things
And you
at
perceive things.
yes at the end of high school, after graduating from high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really convinced of the fact that once people start looking back in their lives, as long as they graduated high school,
Okay.
they will agree that that was a turning point for everybody, and that moment basically um,
It
made them the way they are today.
Yes, I think that on one side I can agree with you. On one side I don't, because I think that we are always evolving, always learning. We are always developing new skills. Okay, you are saying, you are talking about fundamental principles
Yes,
embedded in everyone.
yes,
Okay, and I know is that old saying that how you do anything is how you do everything,
yes,
and I think it can apply to you, to the 4-year-old you to the 80-year-old you.
yes,
Right, there are some principles, but I think that with the proper mindset you can develop in so many ways. But I understand what you're saying, because you cannot, a person does not radically shifts
yes.
and changes. Basically, that's what you are trying to say, right?
Um, if you don't have any major drama in your
Mm-hmm.
life, you will, not you per
Okay,
se,
okay.
but people will generally try to find a cozy spot,
Yeah,
because let's face it,
it's our natural
it's
tendency.
yes,
Right.
it's human nature,
Yeah.
and nobody will truly want to become another person. That
Yeah. Right.
there are diagnoses for that, and I
Okay.
don't think we have to talk about them.
No.
But yeah, I think that applying certain principles in life
Hmm.
at a certain age, at a certain young age, will stick with you. I mean, if you are an engineer and you just became an engineer by chance, and everything you did uh, when you were in school was
Okay.
graded 7 out of 10, you
Hmm.
will never be anything more than a 7 out of 10 engineer.
Don't know what to say. I
Yeah,
hate that kind
I
of
I know
rankings.
that grades don't fully
Reflect what
reflect
we are
the
capable of.
our skills.
Right.
However, the fact that there's no real struggle into improving Not necessarily your grades, but your whole attitude towards work. And
And you as a person.
yes, because it's better to get 7 out of 10
Okay.
if you really work hard, rather than get 9 out of 10 if you cheat.
Right.
Because that's another problem with the grading system nowadays.
And
Parents tend to be more satisfied with their kids if they, I don't know,
they have
put,
higher rankings.
yes, only if they have high rankings, even though their skills are basically non-existent.
You really touched the hot spot for me right here, because I'm quite mad about the educational system that fails and continues to fail on adapting on the world we live, because we have so much focus and emphasis on information, which is not bad, but we are exposed to any kind of information at any time, anywhere, on any device you can imagine. I think that we should put more emphasis on the work, on the progress, on stimulating, as you said, the struggle, the work
Yes.
to get there, because anyone with a phone can teach himself what anything that he wants. Even medicine. There are so many videos, there are so many presentations, lectures online. Okay, you need a degree, you need that diploma, that piece of paper. Okay, and I think there are a few specialties that really that you really have to go to university in order to perform them. But I think that not everyone should go to university, not because they lack the skills, because sometimes you don't need it. You can be your own teacher.
Yes, as long as you don't go away from your area of interest, you
Right.
can um, teach yourself new things. And the funny thing about this is that it will stick around with you.
Yeah.
I personally think that the most of the information we gather
Hmm.
is the information that we personally put an effort into gathering.
Right.
It's not the stuff that are being uh, directly transmitted to you. It's the things that make you sweat.
Because we learn by consumption,
Yes,
not only by being a spectator
yes,
in the sport. Yeah, I agree with you, and I really don't like this. As I told you, this system that is continually is it's continuously emphasis on information, when I think that it should put more emphasis on human interaction, on okay, you go to lectures, you don't go to just to gather information. You go there because you want to have some interaction with that guy, you want to look at that guy and see when he makes a joke, something that a phone, reading a course from a phone does not replace.
yes,
Things like this, because that's the thing that we should focus more on, as studying in general, not only medicine or any other field. I think in general this should be a I think that it could be in my case I would be more eager to go to a course when the guy talks to me and say, okay, I'll give you the presentation, you can learn it home, and he makes you inquisitive, he asks questions, asks for debates, for arguments, because this is how the information sticks to your head. And when you learn the big picture, you have that foundation. That's my view.
yes.
That's my view.
Basically, what I think you're trying to say is that people have to find their personal way of gathering information.
Right.
And I totally agree with you, because even AI is nothing without data, but we have to be aware that we don't fully understand AI, and we don't fully understand other people, because everybody has a different neural network, even though we're using the same technologies, even though we sometimes dress the same, talk the same languages,
Right.
behave mostly the same in various circumstances. Um, Everybody has their own different qualities and different gestures that make us stand out
Right.
from the rest.
Exactly.
And that's why
I think that we should not apply the same recipe and the same patterns for
yes, the
everyone.
ingredients basically should be the same.
Yes.
But if you and I start baking a cake right now with the same ingredients, with the same equipments,
Following the same procedure.
yes, the outcome will inevitably be different,
True.
because it's the way we work with the information that we receive that truly um, makes us the way we are. Because people will always see you as the person that they need at that moment. So
Yes.
basically, your patients, because you're a future doctor, will see you as a doctor. Your parents will see you as their child,
Right.
and that will never change.
Of
I
course.
know for a fact. But everybody has their own image of you and their own version of you. And what I think is most important is to uh, find the best way to not necessarily make everybody happy, but be the right type of person in every situation.
You're talking about mastery here. I mean, yeah, of
Yes.
course. I can argue that. I mean, yeah, but it's interesting. You are talking about that turning point at 18, right? And I agree with you. I had that turning point, and I think each and everyone that was in our situation had that turning point. And what's the advice you would give to the now, with your experience now, to the 18-year-old you?
Relax. Just relax. I mean, not stay in a continuous relaxed state of mind, but rather let things happen and deal with them, rather than trying to prevent things that would never happen at all. I mean, it's good to be preventive. It's better to prevent than to treat.
Right.
But we worry about stuff that are so unimportant, that we can easily lose our focus
To the main
from
goal.
the real problems. I mean,
Yeah.
basically, most people hearing us, listening to us,
Okay.
are very fortunate,
Okay.
because they have to be aware of the fact that they have access to the technology that
Right.
can make them listen to us. They are quite healthy as long as they are using these devices.
Okay.
And
Now is the neurologist talking.
Not necessarily the neurologist, but the uh, medicine university graduate
Okay.
that sees the whole body as a complex
Mechanism.
mechanism
Hmm.
that usually tries to fit in other complex mechanisms that, guess what, other complex mechanisms created, because
Right.
even social um, interactions are just tests of our cognitive abilities,
Right.
and everything we do is a test of our cognitive abilities.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying that we tend to focus on unimportant details sometimes, and not fully be aware of the important stuff.
Right. And I think that we have this this tendency to think about different situations, different scenarios that are only, they have no they do not correspond with the reality. They are just in our mind,
Yes.
and they are in many cases about future, and we decide to leave them, and to leave them now, which I think that really leads to anxiety. Basically, you are making a scenario in your head, you are living it right now, it has no corresponding with the reality, it's just a possibility, like there is the possibility of not happening that thing, and you are just living right now, rather than, as you said, focusing on the real task, the real problems, the real issues, right?
Yeah, it's good sometimes to wonder.
But in a controlled way.
Yes, as long as you keep your feet on the ground,
Okay.
because um, finding balance is in life is quite hard nowadays, and I don't know, the world just seems a little bit messed up, but that's another topic.
It's a topic for another episode,
Yes.
right?
Um, Returning to the advice that I would
Okay.
give to
To the 18-year-old
the
you.
18-year-old me, I would say nothing, because for now I'm happy with the way things are, and the only way that I became the person I am today is because I did everything I not only felt but also analyzed and thought that would be worth doing.
Hmm.
So it's not okay to live your life um, always being told or always avoiding mistakes. Again,
Yeah, it's about
not
failing. Yeah.
that making mistakes should become a habit,
Right.
but I don't know, many choices that I made and seemed a little bit cruel for the child inside me
Okay.
turned out to be quite blessings in disguise. So
Hmm.
basically, um, there's no secret recipe to leading a fulfilling life,
Right.
and each and every one of us sees things differently and has the right to make their own choices as long as they don't influence other people's choices.
Right. Right. I totally agree with you. And Now, my last question for you is, what's the impact you want to have?
The impact I want to have, I don't know. I'm not necessarily focused on making people see the things around us in my point of view,
Right.
but as long as I find
Basically, you want to say that you want to raise the general level of awareness,
yes,
but not
I want
imposing
people
your
to be
views.
more involved in the way they are making their choices, because this could lead to a lot of improvements in today's society, and I don't want to have the full responsibility of being a leader or
Right.
um, being an opinion
Former
maker,
or influencer.
influencer, because I don't feel comfortable being in the spotlight. But as long as people get the message, even if I'm forgotten, because I have no problem with being forgotten, as long as I know that the impact has was made,
Okay.
um, would be enough for me.
Nice. Very
So
nice.
I'm basically an observer as long as things go the right way.
All right. Nice. Very
I
nice.
can only change the things that I know I can change, but I'll have to deal with the rest in the best way that doesn't affect me, and in the best way that makes me part of what's happening around us.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. I'm really
Thanks for having me.
looking forward to having another episode with you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having another episode with you as well,
Okay.
because we clearly have a lot to talk
Right. I
about.
think we can take 4 hours easily. Guys, I think you enjoyed this episode, and see you next time.